Seriously, our Adam Lee says, hey, how about we start a GoFundMe for Indiana Fever fines?
Without a major suspension, I think she's going to have the highest percentage of fines to dollars possibly ever, without getting suspended for a single game.
Why is the WNBA punishing Sophie Cunningham for speaking out? What did she say that cost her $2,000 in fines? And why has that opened Pandora's box for the league? Stay with us, because the fallout from her comments is turning into something much bigger than anyone expected. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video.
Sophie Cunningham has now been fined 4 times this season? She's had 4 separate fines this season.
For F's sakes, the WNBA fined Sophie for her referee podcast comments, but let motherfuckers beat the shit out of Caitlin Clark the last 2 seasons. No fines there.
Imagine this, Sophie Cunningham, one of the WNBA's rising stars, posts a TikTok video where she doesn't hold back, calling referees useless after a game filled with questionable calls. That one post was enough to earn her a $500 fine from the league. But instead of backing down, Sophie doubled down. On her podcast, she didn't just defend her comments, she went deeper, painting a picture of frustration shared by many players. The result? An additional $1,500 fine slapped on top, bringing her total penalty to $2,000. That's when things exploded.
Dude, they fined me $1,500. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is just the beginning. I was like, you're kidding.
And she got fined for comments on a podcast episode about referees. And it wasn't even like it was that bad.
Fans weren't having it. In a matter of days, social media was on fire, with hashtags supporting Sophie trending across platforms. GoFundMe pages popped up, raising enough money to pay her fines within hours. Petitions demanding better officiating and transparency about how fines are handed out gained thousands of signatures. And the responses only got louder. Why attack a player for saying what so many already believe? Why punish someone for calling out what feels like an undeniable issue in the league? And here's where it gets interesting. Compare this to how the NBA handles criticism. Players like Draymond Green or even legends like Charles Barkley have built careers on speaking their minds. Barkley, in particular, became a cultural icon, not just for what he did on the court but for his unapologetic opinions off it.
All she said was talking about, the refs needing to protect. I'm pretty sure. Was it not for her saying the refs need to protect Caitlin Clark?
And she pulls me aside and she goes, come here, Soph, I have to talk to you. And this was in front of everybody. And I was like, what did I do now? And she just smiled and she goes, hey, they're going to fine you again.
Fans don't just accept it, they expect it. The WNBA seems to be operating in a completely different playbook, one where free speech has steep consequences, and that contrast feels impossible to ignore. But here's the kicker, the league's punishment has done the exact opposite of what it likely intended. It's amplified Sophie's message and drawn even more attention to the officiating problems she pointed out. This is the Streisand effect at its peak, trying to suppress a narrative only to make it dominate headlines. The irony doesn't stop there. Remember the uproar about recent unpunished cheap shots aimed at Caitlin Clark on the court? Fans are noticing a pattern. The league seems harsher on words than actions. What kind of message does that send? Unfortunately for the WNBA, their response to Sophie isn't silencing criticism, it's fueling it.
When the NFL's officiating looks 1,000% better than this league, ooh, you got a real officiating problem.
So this is what she said. If I was a ref, I know I mess up all the time. I'm not saying your job is easy, but when it's a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And that's not the only issue at play here. Have you ever watched a game and wondered why it didn't feel fair? That frustration is central to the conversation Sophie Cunningham ignited. Sure, Sophie admitted officiating isn't an easy job, but her main issue was consistency, or the lack of it. This isn't just about blown calls here or there, it's about a pattern. You can feel it in the way teams play, fans react, and players talk about the games afterward. Sophie's comments didn't come out of nowhere. They're ripping open a bigger issue the league has been dancing around for years. Take the recent drama with Caitlin Clark as a perfect example. Highlight moments like those, when star players take cheap shots and no whistle blows, and it's no surprise fans are angry. These incidents are becoming way too common.
I think the players across the league, new fans across the country, everyone's like, what's going on with the refs? I'm like, I don't know. And you're finding me, you finding me $500 is not going to do shit.
This made it back to her podcast talking about her getting fined. It turns it into a bigger story for the WNBA.
Players like Sophie get hammered for being too vocal, while serious infractions on the court seem to slide under the radar. The contrast is glaring, and, frankly, it's turning fans against the very system they want to root for. Now, competing leagues face officiating problems too, but here's the distinction: most handle it differently. Let's look at the NFL. While it has its share of referee controversies, remember the 2019 Saints no-call madness, there's still a higher perception of accountability.
There's a petition over the WNBA officiating, how bad it is, over Sophie Cunningham getting fined. That is great.
It's like finding her $500 is not going to do shit. Finding her $1,500 is not going to do shit either.
The referees feel more professional, their decisions are dissected publicly, and players don't get penalized for speaking up about bad calls. The WNBA, on the other hand, seems more focused on silencing criticism than addressing the core problems. That approach? It doesn't just fail, it alienates the people who care most. Research backs this up. Poor officiating doesn't just hurt a game's outcome, it damages trust. Fans begin to question the league's credibility. Players hold back because they don't want to face fines. Worse, it all snowballs into fans disengaging completely.
She would have made about maybe $400 or $500 of just a clip of her talking about the referees. No, she would have made a huge profit on that. Huge profit.
But needless to say, at one point in this song, she calls the referees useless.
And here's the kicker: fans and players aren't staying silent anymore. They're demanding transparency. This isn't just social media noise, it's a rallying cry. Sophie's comments weren't the root of the problem, just the SP.